I walked through my front door after 4 hours hooked to that machine, my arms still sore from the needles. The dialysis center always left me drained, like someone had wrung out a dish rag. All I wanted was my bed and maybe some crackers to settle my stomach. Instead, I found two strangers rolling suitcases down my hallway. "Excuse me," the woman said, smiling like she belonged here. "We're here for the Airbnb." My legs went weak. She held up her phone, showing photos of my bedroom, my quilt, my purple heart on the nightstand, my reading lamp. Everything that made that room mine, posted online for strangers to rent. Just before you continue to watch, please subscribe to this channel and like this video. It would encourage and help us keep creating amazing content for you. All right, back to the story. "There's been a mistake," I said, my voice barely steady. "No mistake," the man replied. "Tyler confirmed everything, said the old man wouldn't mind." The old man. That's what I was to my own grandson. I didn't yell, I didn't argue. I walked them to their car, apologized for the confusion, and watched them drive away. Then I sat on my porch, pulled out my phone, and opened the Airbnb app. My fingers shook as I searched my own address. There it was, my bedroom, available tonight. I booked it under a fake name. The app dinged. Reservation confirmed. Tonight, 7 p.m. I followed the noise to my kitchen. Tyler stood at the counter with 3 friends, all of them laughing and staring at their phones. He had his laptop open, showing off numbers like he'd discovered gold. "Dude, this is genius! Your grandpa's room is perfect! Look at these reviews already rolling in!" Tyler grinned into his phone camera. "First guest lands tonight. I'm about to make bank off this old school vibe." I stood in the doorway, invisible to them. My grandson, the boy I'd helped raise after his dad left, was live streaming his plan to rent out my private space. The room where I kept my medications, where I changed clothes, where I cried alone when the dialysis got too hard. "Old man won't even notice," Tyler said to his phone. "He's at the hospital half the time anyway. Might as well make his space useful." My hands gripped the doorframe. I thought about charging in, about throwing them all out, but something stopped me. Maybe it was the weakness from dialysis. Maybe it was something smarter. I backed away quietly and walked to my home office. I printed the Airbnb listing and my confirmation email. Then I folded them into a folder. Tonight was going to be very interesting. At 6:30 p.m., I put on my cleanest shirt and packed a small suitcase. Just overnight things, like any good Airbnb guest would bring. I slipped my house keys into my pocket. The original keys Tyler didn't know I still had. He'd changed the front door code last week, claiming it was for security. Now I understood why. But Tyler had forgotten something important. I built this house 30 years ago. I had keys that opened every door. I placed the printed papers in my folder, the listing with my bedroom photos, the confirmation email for tonight's booking, and a screenshot of his "old man won't notice" comment from the live stream. My phone buzzed with a new notification from the Airbnb app. A message from Tyler, host 2023. "Welcome. I'll meet you at the door at 7 p.m. sharp. Looking forward to hosting you." I almost laughed. This kid had no idea what was coming. I checked my watch. 6:45 p.m. Time to become Tyler's worst nightmare disguised as his best customer. I wheeled my suitcase to the front door and waited. 7 o'clock exactly. I rang my own doorbell. The door swung open, and Tyler appeared with his biggest customer service smile. His friends crowded behind him, probably hoping to see their celebrity host in action. "Welcome to—" Tyler started, then stopped dead when he saw me standing there with my suitcase. His smile melted off his face like ice cream in August. "Evening," I said calmly. "I'm your guest for tonight." His friends went silent. One of them had his phone filming, and I could see the exact moment they realized this wasn't going according to plan. "Grandpa, what are you doing?" Tyler whispered. "Checking into my reservation," I replied, pulling out my phone to show the confirmation screen. "Tyler Host 2023, right? That's you?" His face went white. Behind him, one friend whispered, "Oh, this is bad." I adjusted my grip on my suitcase handle. "Are you going to let your guest in? The listing promised excellent hospitality." Tyler stepped back like I was carrying dynamite instead of overnight clothes. Someone's phone was definitely still recording. I rolled my suitcase into the kitchen and set my folder on the table. Tyler and his friends gathered around like they were watching a bomb get defused. I opened the folder and laid everything out carefully. The Airbnb listing, screenshots of my bedroom photos, the confirmation email, my house keys. "You didn't rent a room," I told Tyler, looking him straight in the eye. "You tried to rent me." His friends picked up the papers, their faces changing as they read. One guy pointed at the photos. "Dude, these are his personal things. His medication bottles are in the pictures." "His war medals," another friend whispered. "You put his war medals on Airbnb." Tyler's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. I picked up my suitcase handle. "Since I'm paying to stay here tonight, I'll be using my room. You'll be sleeping on the couch." I started walking toward the hallway. "But Grandpa?" "It's sir to you," I said without turning around. "I'm a paying customer." Behind me, I heard one friend say, "Bro, you're so screwed." I closed my bedroom door and sat on my own bed in my own house as a paying guest. The irony would have been funny if it wasn't so heartbreaking. I wrote out a quick note on hotel stationery I kept in my drawer. House rules: no unauthorized guests, no parties, respect the property owner. Then I stepped back into the kitchen. Tyler was slumped at the table while his friends whispered among themselves. "Since I'm the guest tonight, you'll follow the house rules." I taped my note to the refrigerator. "I'm ordering pizza for everyone. Consider it part of your hosting duties." I called Tony's Pizza and ordered 2 large pizzas. When the delivery kid arrived, I tipped him $20 and made sure Tyler saw. "This is how you treat people properly," I told my grandson. My phone buzzed with a text from Mrs. Ruiz next door. "He posted your address online. I'm seeing cars drive by slowly. You need to watch out." I looked at Tyler. His business venture was about to become everyone's problem. I went back to my laptop and checked Tyler's Airbnb calendar. My stomach dropped. 3 more bookings lined up over the weekend. Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. The Sunday booking was labeled "Birthday Bash, Party Space Available." My jaw tightened. This wasn't just about renting my room anymore. Tyler was planning to turn my house into a party venue. I walked back to the kitchen where Tyler sat staring at his phone, probably watching his dreams of easy money crumble. "Cancel the weekend bookings," I said. "I can't," he stammered. The customer service representative was professional and helpful. I explained the situation calmly. I was the homeowner. The room being rented was my personal bedroom, and the listing had been created without my knowledge or consent. "I can see the listing here, sir," the rep said, "and I'm looking at the photos. These appear to be personal belongings." They are. My medications, my military service medals, my clothing. Everything you see belongs to me. Tyler was pacing now, sweating despite the cool evening air. "Sir, I'm going to need you to email us proof of ownership and some photos showing these items in your possession." I was already pulling out my phone. I took pictures of my medals in my hand, my medicine bottles with my name clearly visible, and my driver's license showing this address. "Emailing them now," I said.
Perfect. Give me just a moment to review. Tyler stopped pacing and stared at me with something that looked like fear. Understood, sir, the rep finally said. We're suspending the listing immediately and freezing all pending payouts pending investigation. Tyler's phone was definitely recording this conversation. I hung up and printed the email confirmation from Airbnb. The listing was suspended, all payouts frozen. Tyler's little business was officially shut down. They're investigating it as fraud, I told him, setting the printed email on the table with the other papers. Tyler's friends started gathering their things. The party was definitely over. Bro, I gotta go. My mom's calling. Yeah, me too. This is getting too real. They slipped out like smoke, leaving Tyler alone at the table with his head in his hands. Grandpa, what am I going to tell the people who booked? You're going to tell them the truth. That you illegally listed someone else's private property without permission. Tyler was whispering into his phone now. Bro, what do I do? He called Airbnb. They froze everything. Headlights swept across my front windows. A car was pulling into my driveway. Looks like your Friday night guests are here early, I said. Tyler's face went chalk white. A Honda Civic packed with college kids sat in my driveway. They were wearing party hats and carrying overnight bags, laughing and taking selfies in front of my house. The doorbell rang. I opened the door in my bathrobe, looking exactly like what I was, an old man who lived here. Hi, we're here for the weekend rental. Tyler said there was party space available. I'm sorry, there's no rental here. This is my private home. I live here. Their smiles faded. One guy checked his phone. But we have the confirmation email, and we already paid $300. You'll need to contact Airbnb for a refund. This listing was created without the homeowner's permission. I could see Tyler in the background, sinking lower in his chair. That's why the listing got suspended tonight. You can check the app. They pulled out their phones, faces growing more confused and angry by the second. This is so messed up. Our whole weekend is ruined. But your address is already on TikTok. A bunch of people are planning to come here. My blood ran cold. After the college kids left, I called the non-emergency police line and logged a trespass warning for my address. Then I handed Tyler a broom and a box of trash bags. We're done with the show, I said. Start cleaning. Tyler began sweeping in silence, while I walked to each neighbor's house to explain what had happened. Mrs. Martinez, 2 doors down, had already seen strange cars driving by slowly. Mr. Peterson, across the street, said someone had knocked on his door asking about the party house. I'm sorry, I told each of them. This will be handled. When I got back home, my daughter Amy was standing in my kitchen with storm clouds in her eyes. Dad, what are you doing? She demanded. Tyler called me crying. He says you're trying to ruin his life. I'm trying to save it, and apparently save my house from becoming a frat party destination. Amy crossed her arms. You're blowing this way out of proportion. It was just for rent money. I studied my daughter's face. Something in her tone bothered me.
You knew about this, I said. It wasn't a question. Amy looked down at her shoes. Tyler stopped sweeping and glanced between us. Mom said it was fine, Tyler muttered. She said you wouldn't care since you're sick so much. The words hit me like a physical blow. My own daughter had approved of this scheme. She'd given Tyler permission to exploit my illness, to treat my home like a rental property because I spent time in dialysis. You knew, I repeated to Amy. Dad, you're overreacting. It's just a room, and Tyler needs money for college. It's not just a room. It's my room, with my medications, my personal belongings, my medals from Vietnam. Amy waved her hand dismissively. Those old things? Nobody cares about that stuff anymore. I walked to my coat closet and pulled out a second envelope I'd prepared earlier. Inside were bank statements going back 6 months. Tyler doesn't need money for college, I said, setting the statements on the table. I've been paying his community college rent for months. Amy's face drained of color. He wasn't desperate, I continued. He was greedy. Tyler stopped moving the broom entirely. My hands were shaking, but not from weakness this time. The bank statements laid everything out in black and white. Tyler's rent, $800 per month, paid by me. His car insurance, $150 per month, paid by me. His grocery money, $200 per month, transferred to his account every Friday. I've given you over $5,000 in 6 months, I told Tyler, and you still decided to rent out my bedroom for extra cash. Amy stared at the numbers. Dad, I didn't know you were paying all this. Because Tyler told you he was broke. Because you both assumed I was too sick and confused to notice my own bank account. Tyler finally found his voice. Grandpa, I can explain. No, I said firmly, you can't explain this. You can only own it. I walked to my bedroom and opened my nightstand drawer. Empty. My pill organizer was gone. The one that held my blood pressure medication, my kidney supplements, everything that kept me alive between dialysis sessions. Where are my medications? I called out. Silence from the kitchen. I checked my dresser. My photos were gone too. The picture of my late wife, my military service photo, the family picture from Tyler's high school graduation. I found everything stuffed in the hall closet like garbage. My pill organizer was shoved behind winter coats, along with my photo frames and a folded American flag from my military service. Tyler had hidden everything that made my room look lived in, everything that showed an actual person lived there. I walked everything back to the kitchen, my hands trembling with anger. You didn't just rent my room, I told Tyler. You erased me from it. Tyler backed up against the counter. I was just trying to make it look cleaner for guests. Cleaner? I set my pills on the table with shaking hands. You hid my heart medication so strangers would feel more comfortable sleeping in my bed? Amy reached toward me. Dad, sit down. You look pale. Don't, I stepped back. Don't pretend to care about my health now. I felt dizzy and had to sit down. The stress was hitting me harder than usual. Dialysis days were already rough on my body, and this betrayal was pushing me beyond my limits. Tyler took a step back, maybe realizing for the first time how serious this was. Put it all back, I said quietly. Every photo, every pill bottle, everything exactly where it was. Tyler hesitated. Now! Tyler scrambled to return everything to my room. He placed my photos back on the nightstand, my medications in their proper spot, the folded American flag on my dresser. His hands shook as he worked. I took deep breaths, trying to steady my heart rate. I wasn't going to let their greed kill me. Not today. When Tyler finished, I sat at the kitchen table and wrote out a simple contract on a piece of paper. Agreement. No rental listings using any part of this property. No guests without permission. Pay back neighbors for any trouble caused. Work weekends to repay Airbnb fees. Complete 2 volunteer shifts at dialysis center to understand what illness actually means. I slid the paper across the table to Tyler. Sign this by morning or pack your things and find somewhere else to live. Tyler picked up the paper, read it twice, and then looked at me with something like defiance in his eyes. What if I don't? He asked. I pointed to the evidence spread across my table, the bank statements, the printed emails, the screenshots. Then leave tonight. Tyler grabbed the paper and ripped it straight down the middle. I stared at the torn paper for a long moment. Then I stood up, walked to Tyler's room, and came back with his duffel bag. I'd already packed it with his clothes, his gaming equipment, and all the junk he left scattered around my house. 2 choices, I said, setting the bag by the front door. Sign a new copy of that contract or leave tonight. Tyler looked at the bag, then at me, then at Amy. Mom, tell him he can't kick me out. Amy opened her mouth, but I cut her off. This is my house. I can absolutely kick him out. He's lucky I'm not calling the police for fraud. The doorbell rang again. Through the window, I could see 2 young people with professional cameras and ring lights.
One held a phone with "Live" displayed prominently on the screen. "Are you the viral Airbnb grandpa? We'd like to interview you." Tyler's eyes went wide. Apparently, his story had made it to social media faster than he'd expected. I looked at Tyler, then at the influencers outside. "Your choice just got a lot more public," I told him. I opened the door to the two influencers. They were probably college age with expensive equipment and the kind of confidence that came from thousands of followers. "Hi, I'm Madison, and this is Jake. We heard about the Airbnb drama and wanted to get your side of the story. You can film, but only if you're interested in the truth, not just clicks." They nodded eagerly and started setting up their lights in my living room. Tyler tried to slip away to his room, but I called him back. "Stay here. If you're old enough to rent out my bedroom, you're old enough to face the consequences on camera." Madison positioned her phone to capture both Tyler and me. "Tell us what happened." I told the whole story. How I came home from dialysis to find strangers in my house, how Tyler had listed my personal bedroom without permission, how he'd hidden my medications and medals to make the room look cleaner for guests. The live chat started filling with comments. I could see them scrolling by on Madison's phone. "This is so messed up. Tyler is trash. Poor grandpa." "Tyler, is that you in the corner?" Jake asked, pointing his camera. Tyler tried to hide his face, but it was too late.
"Tyler, do you want to respond to these allegations?" Madison asked, keeping her phone trained on him. The live viewer count was climbing. 500 viewers, 800, 1,200. Tyler looked trapped. His friends were gone. His mom was staying quiet. The whole internet was watching. I didn't think it was a big deal," he finally said. "He's not using the room that much anyway." The chat exploded with angry comments. "Not using it," I said. "It's my bedroom, where I sleep, where I keep my medicine, where I keep my memories of your grandmother." Tyler's face crumpled. Under the bright phone light, he looked younger than his 20 years. "I'm sorry, I needed money and I thought you wouldn't notice because you're sick so much." "Because I'm sick?" I said. My voice stayed calm, but everyone could hear the steel underneath. "You thought my illness made me stupid?" Tyler was crying now. "No, I messed up." The viewers were commenting faster than I could read. "Make him apologize properly. Tyler needs to pay for this. Grandpa deserves better." I reached for a pen and placed a fresh copy of my contract on the table. "Then prove you're sorry." With 2,000 people watching live, Tyler read the contract out loud. His voice shook as he got to the part about working to pay back the fees and volunteering at the dialysis center. "Do you accept these terms?" Madison asked, like she was hosting a courtroom reality show. Tyler looked at the camera, at me, at the contract. The chat was moving too fast to read, but I caught glimpses. "Sign it. Do the right thing. Your grandpa loves you." "I accept," Tyler said quietly. He signed his name at the bottom. I signed as witness. "We're going to start fixing this tonight," I announced to the live stream. "Tyler will personally contact everyone who booked and apologize. We'll refund what we can and write apology notes to the neighbors who were affected." The viewers seemed satisfied with this plan. The comment tone shifted from anger to support. Madison ended the stream after getting contact information to follow up on the story. As she packed up her equipment, my phone buzzed with an email notification. Chargeback attempt filed by guest Tyler Host 2023 for booking confirmation number. I smiled for the first time all day. Tyler was trying to get his money back through a chargeback on the first booking, the one where I had been the guest. "Having trouble with the refund?" I asked him, showing him the email. He looked confused. "I just want the money from tonight, since you didn't actually stay as a guest." "Actually, I did stay as a guest. I paid for the right to sleep in my own room, and I used that right." Tyler's confusion deepened. I pulled out my credit card statements from the past week.
There it was, a charge to Airbnb for one night stay at my own address. The reservation was real. The payment was real. I booked my own bedroom and spent the night as a paying customer. Tyler stared at the statements. But why? To prove a point and to make sure you couldn't keep any money from this scheme. Amy finally spoke up. Dad, that's actually brilliant. Tyler slumped into a chair. So I don't get any money at all? Not from this, I said. But you'll earn money the right way now, starting tomorrow at 5 a.m. Here's what Tyler didn't know. I'd planned the whole thing from the moment I found those strangers in my hallway. When I booked that first night under a fake name with a prepaid credit card, it wasn't just to catch Tyler in the act. It was to make sure he never saw a penny from his scheme. The frozen payout from Airbnb, useless to him now. Any money guests had paid was going back to them through the fraud investigation. But my booking was different. I legitimately paid for a service and received it. I spent the night in the room I'd booked. In the eyes of the credit card company, that was a valid transaction. You're still paying back every fee, every inconvenience, every dollar this mess cost, I told Tyler. His face was a mixture of defeat and grudging respect. How did you think of all this? He asked. 40 years of running my own business. You learn to plan ahead when you can't afford to fail. I stood up and grabbed my coat. We start making amends tomorrow at 5 a.m. Hope you like hardware stores.
At dawn, I drove Tyler to Hank's Hardware across town. Hank was already there, opening up for the Saturday morning rush. "This the boy you called about?" Hank asked, looking Tyler up and down. "This is Tyler. He needs to learn about honest work." Hank nodded. "Weekend shifts, 8 hours Saturday and Sunday. Loading trucks, organizing inventory, helping customers. Cash goes straight to Grandpa here for restitution." Tyler looked like he wanted to argue, but he'd signed the contract on live stream. There was no backing out now. "Yes, sir," Tyler said quietly. "Good. Clock-in starts now. Warehouse entrance is around back." I watched Tyler walk toward the warehouse, shoulders slumped, but feet moving in the right direction. That afternoon, I picked him up and drove him to the dialysis center. "Why are we here?" Tyler asked as we walked through the entrance. "Because you said you thought I wouldn't notice things because I'm sick so much. Time for you to understand what sick actually looks like." The dialysis center was busy on Saturday afternoons. Tyler sat beside me while the technician hooked me up to the machine. I could see him trying not to stare at the needles, the tubes, the way my arm looked connected to this mechanical lifeline. 4 hours, 3 times a week, I told him, as the machine started its rhythmic humming. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Around us, other patients settled into their chairs. An old woman squeezed a stress ball to keep her blood flowing. A man about my age stared at the ceiling, probably trying to sleep through the process. Tyler watched the nurse bring heated blankets and water cups to patients who looked tired and cold. "Mr. Henderson," the nurse said to me, "would your grandson like to help distribute snacks today? We always need extra hands." Tyler spent the next 2 hours bringing crackers and juice to patients, adjusting their blankets, and helping people reach their phones or books. On the ride home, he was quiet for a long time. "I didn't know it was like that," he finally said. "Now you do. All those times you came home tired. I was tired, but I was still your grandfather, still deserving of respect in my own house." Tyler nodded, staring out the window. Monday morning brought a city notice in the mail, a fine for operating an illegal short-term rental without permits, $500. Tyler read the letter twice, then looked at me with resignation. "I started this mess," he said. "I'll finish it." He spent Tuesday morning at City Hall explaining the situation to a clerk who'd probably heard stranger stories. They set up a payment plan from his weekend wages at Hank's. $50 a month until it's paid off, Tyler reported when he got home. "Plus the money you owe neighbors for their trouble," I reminded him.
Tyler was learning that actions had consequences beyond just getting caught. Finals week was coming up at his community college. He'd have to choose between study time and work time, between taking the easy way and doing things right. He chose work. My grades might suffer, he admitted, but this is more important. I felt something shift in my chest. Not forgiveness yet, but recognition. The boy was finally growing up. Ms. Ruiz stopped by that Thursday with cookies and an update. No more strange cars, no more confused people knocking on doors asking about the party house. Tyler came by yesterday with an apology note and $20 for my trouble. That boy is learning something. 3 weeks later, we sat in my backyard eating dinner off paper plates. Nothing fancy, just hamburgers and potato salad, but we were eating together for the first time since this whole mess started. Tyler stood up and pulled a folded letter from his pocket. I wrote this for the judge when I paid the city fine, but I wanted to read it to you too. He cleared his throat and began. I tried to rent out my grandfather's space, but what I really did was sell my own name and reputation. I turned my family's trust into a business transaction. I made my grandfather's illness into an opportunity for profit. I'm sorry for all of it. I didn't hug him, not yet. That would take more time, more proof that the change was real. Instead, I went inside and came back with the signed contract, now placed in a picture frame. You can stay as long as you keep earning trust, I told him, hanging the frame on the back porch where we could both see it. Tyler nodded. I understand. I settled into my chair and looked at my grandson, really looked at him. Still young, still learning, but maybe finally understanding that respect wasn't something you inherited, it was something you earned. I booked the first night to check in on my spine, and I checked out stronger.
If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like this video, comment, and smash the subscribe button. Also, check out other videos on the channel. We've got more interesting stories for you.